back with Tobin and Andrew for part 3, session 3, and I want to talk about music ministry itself. I assume that talking about music ministry is what we're going to do. You guys are the first ones that I didn't ask what topic, because the other pastors, I've asked them, I said, here's what I'm going to do, some personal stuff, some unity stuff, and then I want to talk about a topic that you want to talk about. What would that be? And then They would mention one, and or mention 3 sometimes, and we'd come to a conclusion on one. You guys, I didn't do that because I just figured it's going to be music ministry, and it's going to have to be now because that's what I'm prepared for. So, but I was thinking, if I would have asked you and music ministry was off the list, what might that have been? You wanted what topic would you like to talk about?
Unity, actually, yeah. It's funny you ask. So part 2, the very end of part 2, if you're listening to the series, that was just a beginning of something that's been on my heart for a while, and the nature of love inside of that. But that's what I would have wanted to talk about.
And maybe we can have a session 4 sometime of dealing with that. I think the church has to wrestle through that and get some things figured out. And we need each other to do that. I always need people around me to help me to think through stuff better. So if it wasn't music ministry topic and I said, what do you want to talk about? Your first one on the list would have been guitars.
Oh yeah, guitars.
That'd be too music.
No, I mean, probably just the church itself, that it includes unity, but not limited to unity. Just what is the church right now? What does it need to be?
Okay. Yeah. Good. Appreciate that little sidetrack there. So on to the topic of music ministry. In a normal year, what kinds of different outlets and programs, talking specifically about people and songs, but you can add personal things if you got stuff going on the side. In a normal year, what kinds of different outlets, programs do you have or are you involved in, music ministry-wise?
Well, as of 2020, it's been a little different. little less on all of that. You want to talk about Emerging Sound?
Yeah, we would have our Emerging Sound camp, which is hosted by People and Songs for songwriters, primarily 17 to 20.
Yeah.
Teens, late teens, young adults, and we would get together for a week-ish, more or less, and write songs for the church that every church member could sing. And so we tackle that. I mean, it is at its core a very unity provoking exercise to write a song that our Baptist brothers and sisters can sing, and then we can take into a more charismatic church and they can sing, and everyone's happy with it and everyone loves it.
And it's true.
And it's true. Yeah. And so we do that, but in addition to that, it's about learning how to worship together. So we're not just going to write and then not practice that. So we worship together. We spend prolonged amounts of time in prayer just for the church to see Jesus and to see him in us, to see him on the final day whenever we are all together. And so, and then at the last day of the camp, we get together and we cut the songs that we believe are most appropriate, well responded, and we make a record, and that's People and Songs. the emerging sound.
Volume what is coming up?
There's a big question mark on a lot of that.
COVID
COVID came in the got in the way.
So the thing you're talking about, is that a once a year at a certain place?
It was once a year. They started in Texas. That was 2014 was when they started, and then 2018 we hosted it here in LaPorte, and so we wrote songs here in LaPorte, and the record was made in LaPorte, and everyone came up here. And during that time we have Arts in the Park every year, and so all of our campers and stuff were also at Arts in the Park, and that was
a blast.
Oh yeah.
It was. We had it at so we did the housing at this Ruth Sabin home, but the actual camp and the sessions and the songwriting sessions were done at First United Methodist Church over on Michigan Street. And then the recording, where we actually recorded the record, was done at Salem Chapel over in Monroe, way back on Monroe.
I remember that. I popped in and watched through the glass.
Yeah.
But that got canceled this year, and that's usually done what time of the year?
July. Yeah, mid-July. And then we also toured. We did events just like everyone else.
Now, when did the breaks get put on for everything, and were you able to do anything this year?
We were. So that was
the breaks were
early,
immediate.
Yeah, the breaks were very immediate. That was early March.
We were actually on our way to an event. We were all in the van traveling, and we had done an event right before that, and we were on our way to Thompson Bowling Arena in
Knoxville,
Tennessee. Yeah. So it's like a 20,000 or so stadium, and we were on our way about an hour out, and we get a call. Hey, the event's been canceled due to COVID.
And then we get another call. Hey, it's back on. And we get another call.
Really?
Yeah.
There was pandemonium at a gas station in Atlanta, Georgia, for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But,
and then right after that, everything else canceled, and so and we had multiple events planned after that, and so that entire we packed it up and went home.
Yeah.
Anything else have possibilities this year to be done, or just kind of mark this off for Big X as far as the traveling kind of stuff?
Well, we shifted gears pretty quick. I mean, because you kind of have to. So that's wonderful. Like Jenny's such a thinker, and she has kingdom ideas constantly. It's really cool. So gears shifted pretty quick, and now that's where Whole World of Good and now Whole World of Good Coffee is open in LaPorte. It's the 15th, right, of this month. Yeah, the 15th of this month at 10. We're actually gonna have a ribbon cutting. So gears did shift. Which has been cool, and you never know when all the restrictions are going to lift and whatnot. So,
okay. So, just real quick, so were there things that were on the calendar for this year that things could switch and that could be back on, or have you wiped the slate clean and then once the go is given, you're going to fill it back in, or? Is that a legitimate question?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I don't know how of an actual possibility that is because of everything that's happening, but yeah. We're not banking on it, I guess you should say it that way.
Yeah. I think this will fit here. I got it at the bottom, but I remember hearing, I seem like I heard it from Jenny or somebody, and I may be wrong completely. And it may just be one exercise you do during a certain time, but the 3 hours to start a song and finish a song.
Yeah,
so that's true. I've heard that.
It's a Nashville standard. When you have a co-write in Nashville, two writers meet together to write a song for an artist, or an artist is in the write as well. The Nashville standard is from start to finish 3 hours.
Is that called the Nashville standard?
Or that's what
they do there. Huh. Okay. I just so do you find that good? Is that I could see how that could be a good discipline. At the same time, surely in the back of your mind, kind of going, if I had a little more time, that line could be a little better, a little sharper.
Right.
Is that so? Do you think that's overall just a good? I could see it being a good. As somebody's not a songwriter, a good exercise, but would I always want to? And then you said, that's just when you're co-writing with somebody?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't. Every now and then, I guess writing by myself, I'll have some songs that is over the course of like a couple months, and some songs that are like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And Tobin's the same way. He'll write a incredible song in like 20 minutes, come out. MG, Mary Grace, from the community, again, she's the same way. She'll just really quick. And then other times there's slow cooker songs. Like Wesley will be working on a song for a while, and it's like the product always turns out it's just they're incredible people with incredible songs. It's really cool. So it doesn't really matter the time, but since co-writing is like a bunch of people together or two people together,
I suppose that would bring a different element
right.
that you'd kind of need to, I could
get it going. You can't really slow cook with
a
group of people.
See that, yeah. I always, I have tried my hand at writing some songs over the years, and I've never finished any of them.
I would love to hear them.
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
Could you sing one right now?
You wouldn't win. I'll do it at the end so that everybody hits the off button real quick.
Wait till the end of this episode, and you're going to get a song from Pastor Tim.
Yeah. But I never finished any, and I found myself thinking, that 3 hour, just holding yourself to that could be a good discipline, I suppose. But
it forces you to think a little different.
Yeah, I would think so. Always seemed kind of strange to me, but I'm sure it had good stuff to it. What makes for a good song? And then I'm going to add for a bad song. But what makes for a good song? For you, obviously, be somewhat individual for the three of us here. But for you guys individually, good song needs what? Or what would maybe cause you to hear one and immediately start leaving it quickly that that's a good song?
One of the things taught at Emerging Sound, or like one of the things we ask people, because this is different among people, is what do you hear first when you listen to a song? Do you hear melody first, or do you hear lyric first? And that's different among people. There's not a right or wrong answer to that. So for again, various answers. For me, I do listen to lyric first, and so for me, what I love in a song is excellently crafted lyric. I think that has a lot to do with a really great song.
And help me with that, meaning what in particular?
So part of it is, is your message clearly conveyed, or am I still confused about what you're trying to say? Mm-hmm. And then also, the message, in addition to it being clearly conveyed, is it crafted well with the melody and with rhymes and meter?
I would say, as it pertains to the church, we have that's an extra filter, or an extra set of filters that we have to have, is being able to write songs that are good, and thankfully you have a congregation that is going to let you know whether or not it's good if they're singing it and if it's true. And I'm a lyric person as well. I start with lyrics, which is really funny because I'll turn off a bad song if I don't like the melody, no matter how good the lyrics are, until they grow on me enough for me to be like, okay, I can take the melody with these lyrics. And a lot of it is just, to an extent, personal preference. It's this weird thing of it can't be any worse than this, but also you don't get to determine what is objectively the best song ever, which, I mean, I could try, but
So how much in the house, when you're writing something, I would say, undoubtedly, you having written this, some kind of feel or feedback of what everybody else thinks. You wouldn't totally
painfully
ignore
so, yes.
Sometimes painfully,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, but that's yeah. I mean that's part of it. Not just you go and sing it to a congregation someplace or a group out
Right.
someplace. Kind of starting, I would think, almost in the house.
And what's really awesome about that is another one of the things we're taught is the song you write is not your baby. And we say that because there's a good chance it's going to get ripped apart. And so if you have this like personal attachment to this song, it's going to destroy you when someone's like, hey, this is actually not, like, this needs to change, and then this needs to change, and then you're destroyed. So one of the things, like, hold it loosely, hold your work loosely. And it in no way is tied to your value or your identity at all. But it's super, super healthy. Really healthy. And this goes past songwriting. This goes to a lot of different crafts. Like if you're a video editor or a photographer or whatever else you're doing, if you need input, you need people to tell you this is really not actually that good, or maybe adjust this, change this.
There are some songs you can have a great, if it felt good writing it to you and it's exactly what you wanted to say, it might be exactly what you wanted to say and exactly what you needed to hear. And as a songwriter, for me, that's a big part of why I love songwriting, is it gives me an outlet to express what I'm trying to say. But that doesn't mean that it's for everyone. And a good portion of the time, I would be willing to say that it's not.
Right.
So it can be frustrating how limitless it can be because of how, you just want to spend your time wisely and stuff, and yet you do, as a creative, want to express yourself. You want to say what you feel needs to be said and stuff, and yet it's like you might not produce something that reaches far and wide, and that's perfectly okay. And as I think about it in terms of worship, that is practice for, like, if you can't minister to yourself, how are you going to minister to others? If your soul is not in a state of intimacy with God, how are you going to lead others? And I'm not saying that it happens that way every time. Like, there are some Sundays and whatnot where it truly, the sacrifice of praise is there. It's easy to understand why it's called a sacrifice of praise, and yet it's a hard sacrifice to give. But it's also and this doesn't just pertain to worship, it pertains to life. You're gonna see people who have been marked by God, and they're not sharing everything that they're learning from Him or anything. They're just living out their faith, and they're living in it.
Yeah, I almost thought you started to have some input there. Let me go back, because there's a kind of a sense, I suppose, as you're talking, that there could be a song that is your baby in another sense, in the fact that, I'm not going to change it. It means what it means to me, and nobody else likes it, and that's okay. It's not my baby, and I appreciate that, as though that totally hurts my feelings, and I'm going to eat worms or something. But the whole idea that I did that, and I know what was going on and what it's meant.
Yeah,
that's bound to happen.
Yeah. So another thing that's taught at the Emerging Sound is you all have journal songs. That's wonderful. Your journal songs are for you to get out what you need to get out. Keep them in the journal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the things.
I've often wondered that. So you're saying that if I went to it and I've got a journal song nobody knows about it, it's in there, and I'm going to make sure that it gets put into a song. Is that part of what you have to kind of wrestle with sometimes?
Yeah. So again, Tobin told you the age of the songwriting camp. So we get a lot of teenagers, and teenagers have so many feelings, and so you get all these songs. It's like, I'm so depressed and I'm so sad, but God is good. It's like, and it's funny. The songs are great, but they're not. You wouldn't want an entire room. You wouldn't want the bride to be singing them necessarily, right? It is for you to personally hash out that with the Lord, and that's great that it's getting to do the work there. But it's not for the lips of the bride.
And you reach a point where there's a part of you, and I think it is that adolescent part of you that's like, I still want to write this, but then having that knowledge, you don't want to sing it. Like it's like, why am I wasting my time this way? But also, it's like eating ice cream, and it's like, I know this is so bad for me, but there's also something that's so good about it, and yet it's not going to produce anything good in the long run.
Yeah.
And
it is also very different than people who have walked very real pain and have gone through very real things, and a song comes out of that.
Yeah.
It's different than that, because those sort of songs hold a very distinct victory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that story, that testimony, that walk of, I want you to hear what God has done.
Yeah.
That absolutely needs to be heard and sung in testimony format. Again, if you wouldn't want people to be reading your journal, like it's one of those things. It's like that distinction just needs to be made, and that is one of the things that's also taught.
I think I hear that. So real quickly, so we can try to get a bunch of stuff in here. A bad song. What's one of the first things that would make you kind of label it bad? I wish I could think of another term.
No, bad work's great. There are bad songs.
Bad songs, yeah.
Okay. I think he was looking at you when he said that, Tobin.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely was. No.
Oh my
I show him songs that only he gets to hear. No.
Gets to. I want you all to get
hear.
I get to.
No, I was going to say... and this might be just an individualistic mentality, but if your song sounds like anyone else's song that has been released, like that just came out, and you're like chasing that fad, I'm not interested in it. And that doesn't always make it an actually bad song, but I do think that as far as a creative goes, authenticity is what matters in the end, and I don't think that's I think that's how it should be, is that if we're creating, then we should create with the gifts and the skill sets we've been given. You've been given experiences, your specific experiences for a reason. You've been given your specific words and stuff. I don't like the copycat mentality that kind of lingers in amongst.
And are you saying that if you're true to doing that it will have its own distinct sound to it?
It can, yeah.
I think about if I was to ask you how many songs have been written from the beginning of time. It's a big number, whatever it is. It's a huge number. How do they? Not all of them. Some of them sound the same, but for the most part, there's just a wide variety. How, with just very few notes, all of that can be done.
Some of the best songs haven't been written yet.
Hmm.
The creative nature of songwriting is absolute. God is all up in that. It's His vastness We couldn't. There was not enough songs.
I think I realized that I discussed everything that leads up to the actual song itself. So the heart behind the song, I can actually like a song and not think it's a bad song after hearing an interview with the artist on why they wrote the song. But as far as the song itself goes, it's just are you going to sing the song again? Are you going to catch yourself humming the song day in and day out, or like enjoying it, wanting to hear it again? There's not... It's hard to say a right and a wrong and stuff. It's just... Your painting is not for everyone.
It really is hard to say right or wrong, because someone's favorite song can be someone else's least favorite song.
And we living in a community of people who love music, we experience that so much. I mean,
everyone's taste is different.
Every car in the community has an aux cord, and everyone's scared to touch it because they don't want to become public enemy number one in the car from playing the wrong song. There's a lot of charity that happens there. I still have yet to find a fellow Beatles fan.
Well, I love the Beatles.
Yeah, it'd be hard to not find people have appreciation for their music. Bad song for you?
Bad song. So what I'm about to say is kind of ironic, because one of my favorite bands does the thing I'm about to say I don't like doing. So this is sort of ironic. I don't like, and it goes along to my answer to what makes a good song. I don't like incoherent lyrics or lyrics that just don't make sense. Like I really don't like that. Again, one of my favorite bands, it's this, his melodies and his feel is so good, but the lyrics don't make any sense at all. And I saw an interview with him where he said, yeah, I just sing what feels good. Like I don't actually, right. And it annoyed me so much, but his music's so good. And I'm conflicted there. So that right there should show you the battle between the power of melody and the power of lyric. So, yeah.
So you said to yourself, man, if he only had something to say...
Golly, it's just incredible. If you spent time on your freaking lyrics, it'd be so good.
Kind of too many things going through my head here. Is there such a thing as too much entertainment in Christian music? If so, what would that look like? What kind of things is it best for Christian music ministries to stay away from? I'll just put down so you can read it if you want. What makes for...
Entertainment is an absolute key piece in terms of evangelism and bringing people in. Yeah. So it's an absolute thing that I'd say if you're a worship leader, you'd need to learn how to make a room feel comfortable, how to make a room feel confident. I'd say that's an absolute necessary piece.
Hope I don't mess you up here. And you putting that under the title of entertainment, you're okay with, or?
Well, so like
that's how you're understanding entertainment.
I mean, let's give it a. I'm sure a lot of people listening are from LaPorte. Let's give it an Arts in the Park sort of scenario. You have no idea the range of people that are going to be there that night, but you absolutely want them to hear the gospel, right? You don't necessarily start there with a water hose of like, here's the gospel. There's a lot of people in the community who are really good about this, but they're really good about catching people's attention and drawing them in at the start, so that they basically are hooked in at the beginning and stay long enough to where we transition to probably like a little more worshipy, and then the message of the gospel it's like a Trojan horse. So I would say entertainment has a piece.
Yeah. And a biblical illustration of that would be what? And especially when you talk about the Trojan horse mentality or picture or illustration there.
If we think about it in a macro sense again, music is a part of ministry, and so we can say music ministry as we're talking about here, or we can kind of step back and look at music as a piece of ministry itself, and that's where I think the biblical illustration of that would come in, is that music is a means of advancing the gospel, and that's where we would use all of the tools in our toolkit to advance the gospel. So as we're playing music, we also have people running around praying with people and stuff, and that's just as important, and that gives entertainment its proper place, is that if you're in a room hypothetically we're doing children's ministry with kids from 6 to 12, they're all going to be at different stages, and so I mean, God bless all of our children's ministry directors and stuff who are trying to appeal to so many people, and that's why entertainment has its place. But that's also why the gospel needs to be presented, is so that it's not exclusively entertainment. And then you just have people in America who are, and I'm included in this, we are very easily ADD, and you like looking this way and this way. You need a lot of different things, which is why we have a good entertainer and then a good storyteller and stuff, and someone who knows how to keep a crowd involved with interaction, and another one whose lyrics just do the work, and it takes everyone.
And I'd say another thing is Paul's heart, where he was like, to the Greek I became Greek, and to the Jew I became Jew, to the weak I became weak. And it was all because I wanted to make the gospel go forth. I wanted to present the gospel go forth. I wanted to be all things to all men. And so this is a form of being, a way of being all things to all men. And again, there are other times where we hold just strictly worship nights, where at the very start we just dive in, and it's just complete worship the whole time.
You guys told me you had some extra time. We're going to do session 4 if you can. I'll promise to get you out of here by noon. Let's do a session 4. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We'll take another break.